$6 billion US. That's how much Jamaica is about to spend rebuilding after Hurricane Melissa. The Prime Minister says it's the largest economic intervention in a generation. He says it could grow the economy by 20%. Here's the thing. That number means nothing. Not because the money isn't real. It is. Not because the plan isn't serious. It is. It means nothing because Jamaica has a problem that money has never been able to fix. In 1976, Jamaica's labor productivity hit its all-time peak. 50 years later, it has never recovered. Jamaica ranks third lowest in productivity in the Caribbean. And right now, with unemployment at a record low of 3.5%, the country can't find enough skilled workers to meet current demand. So, the question isn't whether $6 billion is enough. The question is, can you rebuild a country when the people who need to do the rebuilding don't exist? What NaRRA is and what it faces. Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica on October 28, 2025. Category 5, 185 mile-per-hour winds. It tore through western and southern parishes like a bulldozer through cardboard. Within weeks, the government had secured $6 billion US in reconstruction financing. They created the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, or NaRRA, to manage it. NaRRA's mandate is not to rebuild the old Jamaica. The Prime Minister was explicit. Roads that open new commercial corridors. Water systems that are designed for agricultural expansion. Energy infrastructure to reduce dependence on imported fuel. Even nuclear power is on the table. This is a transformation, not a restoration. But here's the shocker. NaRRA is being built to deploy $6 billion at speed and scale. And the country that it is supposed to deploy that money in has the third lowest productivity in the Caribbean. 85% of Jamaica's tertiary educated labor force has left. That's not a typo. 85%. The IMF confirmed it. Jamaica and Guyana have the highest brain drain rates in the world. Think about what that means. For every 100 Jamaicans who get a university degree, 85 leave. The best engineers, the best architects, and the best project managers are in London, Toronto, Miami, and New York. So, when the Prime Minister stands before the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce and says, "We need stronger contracting firms that hire engineers, architects, and project managers," the question is, where are they? Force 1. The productivity trap. Here's where it gets interesting. Productivity is the single most important number in economics that nobody talks about. Productivity means how much value does one worker produce in 1 hour? When productivity rises, wages can rise without causing inflation. Workers earn more because they produce more. Everyone wins. When productivity falls or stagnates for 50 years, wages rise, but output doesn't. That means every wage increase is just a price increase in disguise. Jamaica has been in this trap for over 4 decades. Wages go up, prices go up. Workers demand higher wages because prices have gone up. Prices are going up again because wages are going up. Round and round. The Prime Minister himself named it. He said, if wages increase without matching productivity, it leads to inflation, trapping the country in a vicious cycle of continuous wage demands and price increases. Yes, that's exactly what has been happening for over 4 decades. Now here's what makes this unlike anything else. The IMF published a paper in 2025 showing that Caribbean potential GDP growth is in broad-based decline, driven primarily by falling productivity. The Caribbean Development Bank confirmed that labor productivity has been declining across the region, with a growing skills mismatch. Jamaica is not just unproductive. Jamaica is becoming less productive over time. And the trend is structural. What does structural mean? It means it's not caused by a bad year or a bad government. It's caused by the way the economy is built. The education system trains people who leave. The firms that remain are too small to invest in technology. The government approves projects too slowly, and the cycle reinforces itself. If you are finding this useful, subscribe to Impacting Jamaica so we can keep you informed. Share this with everyone in your WhatsApp group, your church, and your family abroad, because this is the conversation no one else is having about the rebuild. Force 2. The labor paradox. Now here's where it gets personal. Jamaica's unemployment rate is 3.5%. That's a record low. By any standard economics textbook, that should mean the labor market is tight. Full employment. Everyone who wants a job has one. But the World Bank said it clearly. Jamaica does not have a jobs shortage. It has a shortage of skills and quality employment. Economist Wendell Ivey warned that the 3.5% unemployment figure masks a crisis of underemployment and a generation of workers who are employed but not skilled. Here's what that looks like on the ground. The construction industry, the very industry NaRRA will depend on, regularly complains that it cannot find skilled workers. Carpenters, electricians, plumbers, welders, project managers. They don't exist in the numbers needed. Heart Trust, Jamaica's vocational training engine, enrolled 52,000 trainees in the first quarter of fiscal year 2025/26. That sounds impressive. And Heart's employment rate after training is 88.4%, genuinely strong. But let's put that in context. NaRRA is a $6 billion program. At Jamaican construction wage rates, that's tens of thousands of skilled worker years. Heart would need to multiply its construction trades output several-fold just to meet NaRRA's demand, while also filling the existing shortage in the private sector. It can't. Not in the time frame, not at the scale. And the workers who could fill the gap, they are abroad. 85% of tertiary educated Jamaicans have emigrated. The skilled tradespeople who left over the last 30 years are laying roads in Toronto, framing houses in Florida, and managing construction sites in London. They are not coming back for a Jamaican wage. Force 3. The international lessons. Let's look at what other countries did when they faced exactly the same problem as Jamaica. Germany, 1945. The country was in ruins. 20% of all housing was destroyed. The Marshall Plan poured in capital. But the miracle didn't come from the money. It came from productivity reforms, currency reform, price liberalization, dismantling rationing. Germany went from ruins to Europe's largest economy in 15 years because it fixed productivity first, Reconstruction second. Rwanda, 1994. The genocide left nearly 1 million dead. The economy was obliterated. But over 25 years, Rwanda averaged 8.6% annual GDP growth. Poverty dropped from 77% to 38%. How? Rwanda didn't just rebuild, it restructured. It invested in human capital. It made productivity a national obsession. It trained its people at a scale that matched its ambition. Christchurch, New Zealand, 2011. The earthquake compounded pre-existing skill shortages. Reconstruction slowed not because money was missing, but because engineers, carpenters, and project managers were missing. The lesson? A skilled labor shortage before a disaster becomes a reconstruction bottleneck after one. Sound familiar? Haiti, 2010. $13 billion in aid pledged. 10 years later, most of it is unaccounted for. Build Back Better became a slogan, not a reality. No institutional capacity, no skilled workforce, no productivity foundation. Haiti proves that money without capacity is a reconstruction theater. Jamaica is not Haiti, but it shares one critical similarity: a massive capital deployment into a system that may not have the human capacity to absorb it. Why this is structural, not accidental. Let's pause for a second. The answer to why Jamaica has a productivity crisis and a labor shortage is the same answer. The system is working as designed. Jamaica educates its best minds. They leave. The firms that remain are too small to invest in technology or training. The government approves projects slowly because the bureaucracy is under-resourced and because the skilled workers who could staff it are abroad. The cycle reinforces itself. Low productivity means low wages. Low wages means skilled workers leave for higher pay abroad. Their departure means firms can't grow. Firms that can't grow can't invest in productivity. And round and round. This is not a failure of ambition. The Prime Minister's vision, a new Jamaica, a Dubai-style transformation, is serious. NaRRA is a genuine institutional innovation, but vision without capacity is a wish. Bonus facts. And here's something that will shake you. 4 facts. Fact 1. Jamaica's labor productivity peaked in 1976, the year Bob Marley released Rastaman Vibration. In the 50 years since, it has never returned to that level. The economy has grown, but productivity has not. Fact 2. 85% of Jamaica's tertiary educated workers live abroad. That rate is among the highest in the world. For context, Jamaica's brain drain is worse than Haiti's. Fact 3. The U.S. construction industry needed 439,000 new workers in 2025 alone. Where do many of them come from? Countries like Jamaica. The same labor NaRRA needs is being recruited by American construction firms paying 3 times the Jamaican wage. Fact 4. The World Bank's Building Back Better framework shows that in small island states, building back better could reduce disaster-related losses in well-being by 59%. But that only works if the country has the capacity to build. The framework, not the funding, is the constraint. Knowledge is power, and silence is deadly. Jamaica has $6 billion. It has a plan. It has an institution. What it may not have is the single thing that determines whether any of it matters: the people to do the work, at a level of productivity that makes the investment multiply instead of evaporate. The countries that rebuilt successfully didn't just pour money in. They fixed the productivity problem first. They trained their people. They imported skills where needed. They tied wages to output. Jamaica can do this. The Diaspora is the most skilled Jamaican workforce in history. It just lives abroad. The question is whether the country can bring them home, train the next generation fast enough, and break the 50-year cycle that has kept productivity frozen since 1976. Because if it can't, $6 billion will buy a lot of concrete, but it won't build a new country. Subscribe to Impacting Jamaica so we can keep you informed. Share this with everyone in your WhatsApp group, your church, and your family abroad.